All right. We are live. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Expect Miracles podcast. Today, we have an awesome guest, Billy Doherty.
Doherty,
Doherty.
close
And
enough.
he is, sorry, I got a little tongue tied there. Billy Doherty. And he has the largest upper cervical directory out there, uppercervicalcare.com. I'm very excited to have him on the podcast today because if you are looking to find an upper cervical doctor, most of the doctors in the world are on it. It's a great tool for patients. It's also a great tool for doctors to get new leads on people that are looking for upper cervical care near them. So, without further ado, please welcome Billy Doherty. Billy, how are you today?
Good. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Billy, where are you from originally?
Grew up in Buffalo. Go Bills.
There we go. There we
Been
go.
down been down in Charlotte since 1996.
And how many years have you been in the upper cervical space for?
I was exposed to it in 2001. That's
Okay.
when I
What was
that's
that?
when I learned.
Under care as a patient, or how did that work?
No, I was exposed to it because our first child, Maxwell, was born in 2001, and he had colic and he had club feet. So you can imagine first time parents not really knowing what to do. The kid had casts from his hips down to his feet,
Wow.
and he was crying every day from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night. And we did what we thought we could do with the Mylicon drops, and we did figure out that dryer rides seem to seem to stop him from crying. But that's where I was introduced to Dr. Ray Drury. Um, my wife used to teach with his wife, and he was an upper cervical chiropractor. And I didn't really know Ray. I just know that from my wife that, hey, Sonia, Ray's wife, said, Ray might be able to help Max with his colic. And I was very anti chiropractic at that time. You know what I mean? I was working for an advertising firm who did traditional marketing for traditional medicine. You know what I mean? So I was doing OBs, I was doing dermatologists, I was doing orthopedics, whatever. But I was handling marketing from that aspect. So I was very anti, no, nobody's touching my kid, especially a
Yeah.
chiropractor. So I was just very ignorant to like, the whole idea of it.
And how old was Max when he first went to Dr. Drury?
He was probably, Max was probably 4 months old
4 months old. And
when he
then
went.
sorry, go ahead.
No, so he went in and reluctantly I let Wendy, I didn't even go. Wendy
Yeah.
took Max to see Ray, and lo and behold, the next day Max stopped crying. So
Really?
in my mind, it was more of okay, it was Max's time not to be colic anymore, and I just kind of
It
chalked it up
wasn't it
as
wasn't
that.
the chiropractic, right?
It wasn't the chiropractic at all, but like shortly thereafter, like my wife would go to Ray for migraine headaches, and the migraine headaches subsided. And so I started, okay, there's something to this. I want to learn more about it. So at that point, I was doing again, I was in marketing for an advertising firm in Charlotte, and Ray proposed an idea. It says, hey, I'm looking to do this franchise model and bring all these upper cervical doctors together, and I'm looking for some marketing help and branding help. So that's where Ray and Thad Vanyo and I kind of collaborated and say, you know what, there's something to this. I am interested. Well, how can I get involved? So from a marketing standpoint, I got involved with Ray, and then, fast forward to 2007, we launched Upper Cervical Health Centers, which was a franchise model to bring together doctors and just provide them with process, provide them with marketing help, just to kind of elevate the brand and create awareness. And so that's how I got involved with the space. And from 2007 to 2014, I was very intricately involved with helping Ray and Thad develop this franchise model, which we did great. Over those 10-year period, that 7-year period that we did it, I think we had like 50 franchisees. It was just There were some challenges in it. We learned a lot from it. It was just really hard to McDonaldize upper cervical,
Yeah.
because there's so many different upper cervical techniques, which again, I didn't know that getting into the space, but once I got into it, I understood the just the different channels and the different kind of different techniques that kind of comprise this whole upper cervical space.
Absolutely. And what I love about uppercervicalcare.com, it's the one site out there right now where it's the only site I can send people to probably find a doctor near them because as you know, if you're sending them to a specific technique, there's states, countries that don't have that doctor even close to them. And uppercervicalcare.com is the one website I can send people to where all the upper cervical techniques are under it, and we have a better chance of getting that person under care than sending them anywhere else.
Yeah, well, in 2017, that's when we kind of developed the uppercervicalcare.com idea, because like being from the outside looking in at all this upper cervical chiropractic, these doctors and these different techniques, they all had these little islands that they played on. And from a patient perspective, my perspective, um, I'm like, God, there needs to be a resource where we could bring all together bring every upper cervical technique together and have one place where it can do two things. It could educate people about the care, and then ultimately, you know, be there, have doctors be there for these people who are looking for care. And that's the whole idea. And that's kind of how it's grown since 2017, just to create greater awareness, allow people to learn about the care, and then find a doctor near them, regardless of the upper cervical technique that they practice.
So, Billy, someone that's been in the space for a long time, do you feel like the upper cervical techniques are a little bit more cohesive and together now, or than they were 10, 15 years ago? Or do you still see like a big separation within the techniques?
Well, I still feel like each technique feels like their technique is maybe superior to each other's. But again,
Hmm.
like, and that's fine. Like if you're in orthospinality or nuca or knee chest or Blair, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? That's great. You know what I mean? Wear that hat and that put that feather in your cap. But the way I come at it is from a perspective of a patient, like they're looking for help,
Right.
and they don't know, they have no idea that the search term upper cervical care, upper cervical chiropractor is so not searched these days, but it's starting to
Hmm.
gain some traction. But when people do start searching for that and they land on the directory, and because we've been in this space for a good number of years now, like when you do a search for upper cervical chiropractor or upper cervical care, fortunately the directory is coming up even before some offices that are in that area from that person searching, just because
Hmm.
maybe they're not implementing an SEO strategy, whatever it may be. But fortunately, they're finding help and they're going to the directory, and you know they're able to find a doctor near them if there's a doctor listed on it or close to them.
Now, you mentioned before a lot of chiropractors, upper cervical chiropractors, they like to be on their own little island. And so, how does it work with uppercervicalcare.com from the doctor's perspective? Like there's a lot of upper cervical doctors that need to be registered on this site because they're missing new leads. How does it work for a doctor, an upper cervical doctor and your site?
Yeah, sure. So every we invite every upper cervical chiropractor to list their practice. There's no barrier to do it. You can list for free, uppercervicalcare.com/join, or you'll see navigation to allow you to do that. But the whole idea of that is to one is to build our directory, to get every doctor listed. Now, once they do build out their profiles on the directory, they can, they're selecting the technique that they practice. So from a perspective of a person looking for a doctor, if they know they're looking for a Blair doc, they can do a search for Blair doc near them. You know what I mean? So again, we make sure that every doctor is identified by the technique that they practice. But my goal is to have, regardless of the technique you practice, upper cervically, that you're on the directory, and then all they do is they come in, they sign up, they build out their profile, and boom, they're on the directory. And that's as simple as that. There's no barrier to do so. Now, we do have some upgrade opportunities on the directory, which really give you more visibility. Essentially, what that means, it's free in level 2. Like the level 2 listing essentially gives you top of page placement. So if somebody does a search for a doctor in your city or state, you're coming up top of page. More features are visible. So your phone number, your links to your website, your socials, your bio about them. So ultimately, if somebody's doing a search for a doctor in Buffalo, then what'll happen is they'll be able to see your phone number. They can read about you. They can understand. Once they figure out, okay, yeah, upper cervical care. I'm curious about this. I want to know more about it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a doctor next to me and you're coming up top of page, right? Then they can dive into that doctor's profile and see their phone number and see their website, see their bio and all those things. They can contact those people, contact that doctor, and then that doctor will be notified via email with the email address that they signed up with on the directory and says, hey, you're invited to log in and accept or decline this lead. Now those
Mm-hmm.
leads are included with an upgrade. I mean, so you're getting, all you need to do is read the message in its entirety, accept, and then it'll present the phone number and email address. Free
Very
listings.
cool.
Yeah. So
And one of,
go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say one of my favorite things that you guys do, not only for the directory, is the educational pamphlets. I have people in my waiting room that come in for migraine headaches, and then they start reading about the pamphlets. Every condition. You guys have a condition for a pamphlet for every condition. They'll start reading about high blood pressure, and post concussion syndrome, and whiplash, and just vertigo. It's amazing how well those educational pamphlets work for people. I'll get referrals just from people picking up the pamphlets.
Yeah. Well, there's again, getting back to the level 2 on the directory like that. There's a partnership that we have with Healthy Chiropractic because there's two components. There's really the directory, uppercervicalcare.com, which again creates awareness, it educates people about the care, and then it provides a resource for people to find doctors. Right. That's one. Now, again, like I said, with the benefits of an upgrade on level 2 side, you get the enhanced listing on the directory, you get built-in features, but then that's where the marriage of Healthy Chiropractic comes in, and that's the marketing arm of the company. So with that, to reference the brochures that you were talking about, like we at healthychiropractic.com, like what we provide is marketing resources to support the upper cervical space. So if you're a new doctor in practice and you are looking, to get a brand, to have a website developed, to whatever it is, like we exist solely to serve the upper cervical space. So that's healthychiropractic.com. And again, like we break our marketing strategy down into like a roadmap. It's called Plan, Build, Reach, Grow. And within each one of those steps, there's tactics to support. So we invite people to go there and download a checklist, right, and find out where you are in practice. And then we talk and we have a discovery call to find out where you are, because a lot of doctors in practice, like that's their seat on the bus, right? They're good at getting people well. And we're really good at creating awareness and driving traffic and generating leads and doing the things that from a marketing perspective that you don't have the skills or don't have the time to do. So
Yeah.
that's where we fit in. But getting back to like that level 2 upgrade of what you get with that, like where the overlap is, like you get some marketing resources with the upgrade. Like we do every month we do a personalized monthly newsletter that we send, that we personalize the back of it with your upcoming event or promotion. And then we send you a PDF and you can disseminate that in your office, like print them out, put them at your check-in, check-out. You know what I mean? It's just really what it does. It allows you to let people know, let your patients know that, okay, once they leave your practice, they can take you with them. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
You can extend it. So again, that's where the overlap is with the directory side and Healthy Chiropractic. But yeah, we're really what we've done is what we're trying to do is really unite the profession from I would love to have every doctor listed on the directory. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm sure a lot of people know me from Facebook, because what happens is we've had a tremendous amount of growth over the last 7 months in traffic to the directory, which just tells me more people are looking for docs, looking to
Mm-hmm.
learn about the care. So it's really an opportunity for doctors to kind of grab up some of that. If people are searching, you want to be there. If we want you to be able to help people. So that being said, it's like, golly, like we have 800 doctors now listed. I know there's more upper cervical doctors out there. So when people do sign up on the directory, especially early on, they maybe they fail to realize that that email address that you sign up with is the email address that when people fills out a form on your site that it's going to go to.
Yeah.
So you might be missing a lead. So I'm all over Facebook trying to message these practices and message these doctors saying, hey, I just want to let somebody logged in, messaged you on your profile in the directory. It's really important that you either log in and accept it or decline it, because I don't want you to ghost them.
Mm-hmm.
I want these people who are looking for care to be able to find a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want the directory to be in a bad light where I look for a doctor there, but nobody got back to me. That's just not good for the profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And Billy, is there a way, because it could be a little bit overwhelming for patients, like when they go on this on the site and they don't, maybe they don't even know what they're looking for. Like, so when they type in an upper cervical care near them, a Blair doctor comes up, an Atlas orthogonal doctor comes up. Is there anywhere on the site where people can get a little bit of information of like how to even sift through that, what that means?
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job of early on when we were back with upper cervical health centers, when I got into the space, we created these 17 question videos,
Mm-hmm.
and they're timeless, and they live on the site right now on the directory. And what they do is they answer all the common questions that people could potentially have about upper cervical. So that's where we start them down the path, because like, oh, what
Nice.
is this upper cervical care? Because we don't reference any technique in those videos.
Yeah.
But like, if you wanted to learn more, once you dive in and you get into that doctor's office and you're like, oh, you're a Blair doctor, I didn't know, what's the difference between that and Epic or whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
then then the doctor, it's in their hands to kind of explain, well, there's this technique and that technique, and there's so many ways you can, this is the way we move those top two bones in your neck, and there's 274 ways. So you can dive into all that once the doctor, or once that visitor is actually in their practice, like in their office. But if you wanted to learn more about it on the directory, like on the bottom part of the site, there's each technique kind of scrolls, so you can actually click on it. It'll take them to there and say, well, what is Blair? What are these different techniques, so you can learn more about it. But then again, I feel really strongly about, just the unifying everybody, all these doctors. So from a patient standpoint, let's get them help. And then once they get to their office, you can tell them that, this is the technique that we practice.
I love that. That's very helpful. And kind of like what you mentioned before, maybe some of the doctors that have been in practice for 15, 20 years, they kind of missed that social media boom, and they might feel uncomfortable on how to even get started. Healthy chiropractic, that helps. Does that help with the doctor's social media, get them started if they feel like they're a little bit uncomfortable of, putting their practice online and videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I guess that's where you come in too, right? Because you're
Yeah.
kind of you're kind of pioneering that whole thing with the TikTok and the Instagram to the younger generation doc, which is great. But from healthy chiropractic standpoint, yeah, like we could, and it all comes back to that marketing checklist, right? If you download that and say, well, yeah, I need to post, what I mean? I need to post socially. I think it's important, but I don't really want to do it, or my staff doesn't have time to do it. Yeah, that's where we can kind of fill in the gaps. So we offer those services for you. Now, we get the question all the time about, well, is social still important? You know what I mean? And and this is what I say to that. Just how I answer that is, back before the evolution of technology, like word of mouth marketing used to be like, who do you recommend for migraine headaches? I'm looking for something natural. And they might say, hey, you need to go see Kevin Pecca.
Hmm.
And it would be as simple as that. And they would call you, right?
Yeah.
Now with the evolution of digital and technology, it's like, okay, like word of mouth marketing is now kind of moved online. So
Yeah.
the first thing they do, and I think it's broken down into 4 steps. It's like the first thing they do is, after they ask, like, well, who do you recommend? Say Kevin Pecca. They're going to say, well, okay, first thing I'm going to do is see if I can find them, right? So they go
Hmm.
online, and they go online and see if they can see if you're there, see if you're listed. Second thing is, I can find them. Can I trust them? Like, what are reviews saying? I
Yeah.
mean, and that is so important still with Google's algorithms like that. I think it's, last time I read, I think it was like 23% of the algorithm is reviews
Wow.
that make up that one of 250 or so ranking factors that go into the algorithm. You know what I mean? So it's really important, and really important to respond to reviews. positive or negative, and make sure, a little tip for you, when doctors are responding to reviews, just make sure you mention your practice name in it,
Mm.
because it's just again, it's another signal for Google. So you can find them, you can trust them. This is where social comes in. Like, can I like them?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing on social? Are you relevant? Are you, for some people, may not make a difference. But for others, they may want to go. And if you've been dormant for 6 months and haven't posted anything, it's like, well, they can't even keep up with their socials. So,
Mhm.
I mean, how how up to date or how in tune are they going to be? And again, for some people that may make no difference, but for others it might be a huge difference. So you can find them, you can trust them, you can like them. And then fourth one is like, can I convert? When you go to their website, is your site easy to manage, like easy to navigate? Like, in 3 seconds, your site should convey the message. What do you do? How it's going to make their life better? And what do they have to do to get it? You know what I mean? So all of those things. So if you can check those boxes, like, that's why I think it's important, for every upper cervical chiropractor, regardless of where they are in practice, whether you're a new doctor or guy in, like, there's always an opportunity to kind of hand off kind of the marketing arm of your business. So let us do what we do and you do what you do and get people well. And again,
Absolutely.
I think it all comes down to the doctor at the end, right? Are you getting results? You know what I mean? Are
Yeah.
you getting people well? And if we can lead that horse to water all day long, but
That's
unless
another
you are,
great point.
if you
The results are
got it,
king.
people are skeptical anyway, right? And if you come in there and we get you there, get you that lead, and you come in and don't get results for that patient or educate them to the point, like, God, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, you guys can only do so much if the doctor's not, delivering the results for sure. Billy, where do you see uppercervicalcare.com in 5 years, healthy chiropractic? Is there somewhere you want to take this specifically?
Yeah, my passion is the directory, is really kind of creating awareness, global awareness of the best kept secret in healthcare, right? Which is upper
Hmm.
cervical, and get more people to make it more of a household term. Make people understand that it's an option in a pool of potential solutions. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to at least investigate all of them? And I think the more doctors we can get listed on the directory, we'll continue to add educational and research and everything else to the directory, just to let people know when they're going there that, okay, this is a legitimate resource for me to kind of explore the pain, the ailment that I'm suffering from, because unfortunately that's how people are finding upper cervical now. It's like as the last resort. You know what I mean? Like, all
Hmm.
right, I've tried everything. I've heard of this upper cervical care thing. What's this all about? And how can I get involved, or how can I find some help? And the more doctors we have listed on the directory, it's just going to make it easier for people to find them. And then I think, a rising tide rises all boats, right? Like, everybody benefits. So again, the more people we can have on the directory, the better it is for the profession, I believe.
I agree. And Billy, at the end of each show, I like to ask all my guests, what is one piece of advice that has really resonated with you over the years that you would like to gift the audience? Could be absolutely anything.
Um, hmm. Well, let's see. I would say, there's some like quotes or motivational triggers, that kind of keep me grounded, like, through life. And I'm a big vision board guy,
Oh,
and
me too.
yeah, and I've been passing it on to my kids. I have two kids. They're both in college, and I've been doing vision boards since they're like 3. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's funny because they still don't do it, but I know it's kind of manifesting in their head, and eventually they will.
Yeah, they'll find it.
Right. They'll find it eventually, and they'll start.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when they start talking about, like, all these things that you throw at your kids, you know what I mean? Throw darts at your kids of, like, all these motivational sayings or thoughts. Eventually, you don't think they're listening, and all of a sudden they come back and they throw it back at you, and it's like their idea,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
you're like, perfect. Like, I don't care where you got the idea from. I just love that you got it. But
Absolutely.
so I guess for me, and I've got a bunch of kind of like little things that I say to myself, and one is like, don't sweat the small stuff. I think you need to kind of keep things in perspective from what's really important. right? Like my family's important, my friends are important, my health is very important, and I think, you kind of keep that first and foremost, and I put that into a business perspective. I'm like, don't sweat the small stuff. All we're trying to do with the directory and all we're trying to do with healthy chiropractic is just let people know about it and make it
Hmm.
easy. And from a doctor's standpoint, we want to make it easier for you so you can get people well. So don't sweat the small stuff. I think fail fast.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? Like don't take action and fail fast. You know what I mean? Like get into something and don't let it kind of go
Yeah.
around in your head trying to find the perfect solution to do it because it never gets there. You're better
Just
off
get started.
yeah, just get started. Once you get started, go, oh, okay. Then you learn from it. At least you're moving, right?
Yeah. You'll figure out
But
if you're going in the right or wrong direction pretty fast.
yeah, I've got a bunch I can go, but those are my two kind of things that are resonating with me right now is just like don't
Awesome.
sweat the small stuff and fail fast.
And Billy, where can people find you on social and your websites?
Yeah, uppercervicalcare.com. I encourage all doctors to list. Again, there's no barrier. If you guys just want to get on there, please list your practice. And again, we vet them too, so we make sure that doctors who do list their practice are practicing an upper cervical technique. And then from a marketing standpoint, if you're looking for any marketing help, we invite you to visit healthychiropractic.com and download a marketing checklist, and then we can have a conversation to figure out what we can make potentially help you in or what opportunities are available that we can step in and help.
Awesome. Well, Billy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your passion for trying to get upper cervical care out to the world at uppercervicalcare.com and Healthy Chiropractic. And would love to have you back on the show anytime.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I've got some exciting news to share. It's
What's
coming
that?
in the next coming weeks. We are getting into a channel that hasn't been economically feasible to do in the past, which is TV commercials. Chiropractors in general haven't done TV commercials. Upper cervical doctors haven't done TV commercials, but we have just created some patient-centric commercials to help educate people about upper cervical. And with connected TV and people cutting the cord, it's a lot more feasible now economically to jump into that
Mm,
arena to test the market. And I think by putting out there educational awareness commercials about upper cervical branded with your practice at the end of it, I think that's the new way. That's the new channel that it's going to be very beneficial, I think, for all the docs. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have that out, and I'll get with you, Kevin, and then maybe we can talk about it and how you get involved and implement it in your
absolutely.
community.
Bill, that
Cool.
sounds awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and would love to have you back on anytime.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.